Alrighty, so I'm sure at least one of you is thinking to themselves, wow, Joe promised a super long video on Friday, and this video looks normal length. Why would Joe lie to me? Well, dear viewer, I lied to you because plans change. This video was originally going to be a response to this episode of the Slightly Civil War post-episode podcast where they talk about the pros and cons of the PC. The podcast is over 40 minutes long and the original cut of this video was well over an hour. However, after rewatching it, I've concluded that it was the most boring video I've ever made. So, upon evaluation, I decided to go through and cut up the better parts of this video so I could hit all the main points I wanted to, but in a more reasonable amount of time, and so that way you don't have to wade through a whole bunch of dead air, because these guys are really bad podcasters. And also so you don't have to wade through me rambling in an attempt to fill the space, because only about half of this podcast was worth talking about. I'm sorry if it's actually a bummer to anyone that the video isn't over an hour long, but ultimately I think this is better. Length isn't everything when it comes to critiques, and I'd rather post a 15-minute video that's entertaining and informative than a 50-minute video that takes forever to get to the point. So let's get started.
But I suppose to the experience, and I understand that still, building your own PC and upgrading it is still overwhelming for a lot of people.
It really shouldn't be at this point. If you're willing to put the time into basic analysis, building and maintaining a PC is not difficult.
And but that's also to me an incredible benefit of the PC experience is you can get a PC for $500.
Yeah.
Or 600 or whatever a console costs now, and have it be an okay PC. It'll run most games. It won't look great, but it'll be okay.
A $500 to $600 PC will be more than just okay. You can do some magical things with $600 in your PC budget as long as you're not trying to hit the best of the best graphics possible. A budget PC is still going to be more than capable of fantastic 1080p gaming.
But then slowly you can, I'll exchange the graphics card. Okay, now I can get the high-end CPU. Now I can do this, and slowly build up your machine that becomes the powerhouse that you wanted it to be.
Exactly. This is why budget PCs are great. They're a great starting point, and then you can upgrade them at your leisure, which not only gets you a better experience, but also gives you a better understanding of the PC platform as a whole.
Then you've got a sort of a ship of Theseus thing going on, haven't you? Because it's lacking an identity. It lacks the solid identity that consoles have. You look at a GameCube, that's a GameCube. A gaming PC is an amorphous entity.
This is a good thing. Most people will have PCs that look completely different from their peers, and that's a positive. The PC being an open platform and not being dictated by one corporation is a good thing.
That's true. I suppose the identity is within the software, right?
What?
We don't think of our PC as having a gaming identity. I think of Steam having an identity.
Which is a weird mindset to have because a lot of the most popular PC games in the world are not hosted on Steam.
Well, not much of one these days.
No,
its identity is, it's like a ghost ship that's still sailing with no hand on the rudder, occasionally smashing into every piece of garbage that floats along.
Every single piece of garbage. It's frankly upsetting.
Well, there's the obligatory games journalism talking shit about Steam because something bad indie games. I'm really tired of hearing about this stuff. Do you think you're obligated to play every single PC game that comes out? If you use Steam, that somehow forces you to play the shitty indie games that get pushed out on the platform? If you don't want to play the shitty indie games, just don't play them. The same way you choose not to play shitty console games. The PC has more shitty games than other platforms because it's the only platform that truly embraces and enables the indie scene.
And that is, as I said, an advantage of consoles. Curated games coming in.
Oh, fuck off, Yahtzee. You're better than this. You really trust Microsoft and Sony to curate your games for you? You really don't have enough brain power to just not buy the games you don't want to play? How is this hard? I will gladly wade through a few shitty games on Steam if it means the PC has a truly open marketplace, because for every shitty indie game that gets released there, a good one also gets released. I don't want curation, and neither do most PC gamers, because we have the brain power to just make our own buying decisions.
I know there's a lot of wank on the PS4 store as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's hear the mental gymnastics here.
But it's not just, the ghost hand on the ghost ship with no hand on the tiller. That's just a ship of fools with a fool's hand on the tiller.
Wow. Okay. So there's shitty games on Steam, and that's bad because there's no curation. But also there's shitty games on the PS4, and those are okay because there is curation, just not good curation. You realize that bad curation is actually worse than no curation, right? If there's somebody deciding what goes on your platform for you, and even you admit that they're not reliable judges of quality, that's a worse scenario than having a platform with no curation at all, because there's no golden nuggets getting picked off for dumb reasons.
Someone had to okay it, and we can blame that person.
Yeah, and if a bad game gets released on PC, you can blame the people who released it. Like, what is this? You'd rather blame the curator who greenlit the game instead of the people who actually made the game?
Life's so much better when there's someone to blame.
But then the counter argument to that is you don't have access to all the weird indie stuff.
Yes, the shitty indie games that you don't have to play is the price you pay for full access to the good indie games.
That's true. That's something I like about indie gaming. The weird stuff that people just throw out there.
You like indie gaming, but you support the curation of game marketplaces. I feel like that's a contradiction. Oh, hello, cat.
That's something like Stadia could be good for.
You know,
it's streaming this one weird game, and then while you're playing it, there's like a live chat to the side of it where everyone else who's streaming it at the same time talks about their experience playing this weird ass game.
I mean, it's not a horrible idea, but I think we should figure out game streaming before we start adding watch parties to the mix.
It would only work. Something like that would only work if it was kind of like public access, and there'd be a limited time that you could download and play the game. And then tomorrow there's a whole new game, and you can't play yesterday's, and you can't play tomorrow's, only today's game.
Yeah.
So even stricter curation in the consoles. You can only play this one game we picked out for you. Fucking hell, like, how do you present this like it's a good idea? It's like you're trying to find as many ways as possible to fuck over small developers.
I think that could be a fun way to like bring exposure to the weird ideas of the world. And if people are really interested in that when they play it in that one day that it's available and everyone's talking about it, then they could go and seek it out. You could post a little website link.
So you want indie games to spread through word of mouth, but you'd like them to have an opportunity for additional exposure. So the Steam homepage.
Yes, I like it. And, like vote, like if it gets enough votes, we'll add it to the store. And if not, it goes away forever.
So basically, fuck every game that gets put on public access on a Tuesday or Wednesday. You realize your system would punish indie games more than it would help them, right? Because if it was a voting system, the weekend games would automatically get way more attention. And that doesn't sound very fair.
Ooh.
Yeah, sort of like Steam Greenlight, but a more hands-on experience. Yeah.
Yep, just keep draining the self-awareness pool.
But, well, there we go. We just fixed it.
Yeah, don't do this.
We just fixed it.
Someone do that.
No, don't do this.
Google Stadia, do that. That's what your whole streaming games system is built for now.
Again, Stadia should probably work on not being shit before it starts trying to be the indie gaming hub. Like, no logical indie developer would pick something like the Stadia over just putting their game on Steam or itch or, like, literally anywhere else.
Consoles, I like consoles as well. I think there are so many benefits to a console: price, compatibility,
Stability.
Yeah.
Price, compatibility, and stability. Let's go through these one by one. Pricing is a weird one because the new consoles have been so horribly distributed. Like, seriously, if the shortage was going to be this bad, they really should have just delayed them another year. But if we're going off market price, $500 is more than enough to get a decent gaming PC. That being said, everything other than the machine is cheaper on the PC side. I say it all the time that you'll usually spend more money on a gaming PC than you will on a gaming console, but PC games, services, and upkeep are almost hilariously cheaper. Games are cheaper, we don't pay to play online, and we can upgrade our parts at our own leisure instead of being forced to buy a whole new system if something breaks or buy a whole new upgraded console if we want better performance. So that's price. What about compatibility? Honestly, I don't know what you're even referring to here. Like, are you talking about game compatibility, hardware compatibility? Like, I know you're not talking about stability because that was your third point. So we'll just talk about that one while we're here. If we're talking about stability in a game sense, it's another weird one because while PC games do tend to have more technical issues than console games, these problems are also usually fixable within a minute by just, restarting the PC, restarting the game, or changing some settings. Meanwhile, if a console game has stability issues, you can't really do anything about it. You just have to sit there and wait for the developers to maybe put a patch out. So really, is stability a selling point for the consoles? PC does have more issues with stability, but again, when they're so insignificant, is it even worth listing as a negative? Especially when the opposition has no solution to the problem when it happens? We also need to differentiate between hardware stability problems and developer stability problems. A lot of times when a game has a lot of technical issues, it's because the developers goofed it up, and it doesn't actually have anything to do with the hardware it's running on. Anyways, let's just keep going with this thing. My video's already long.
And the couch experience.
Move your PC to the TV. There, I gave you the couch experience on PC.
The PC gaming has still not quite figured out the couch experience.
You can put your PC on your TV and just use a controller to control everything. Or use Steam Big Picture. This podcast was made in late 2020. How do you still not know this?
Yeah, consoles, as you said, have developed a lot of fuckery over the years. Back in the day, it was easy, just shove the cartridge in, turn it on, and away you go. There's a bit more fuckery these days, but still significantly less than there is in playing a game on PC.
Absolutely not true. The two platforms are basically the same in this regard now. I agree that consoles used to be much simpler, but there's a pretty equal amount of fuckery on both platforms now.
You get your friends around your couch, sit on your PC. It's like, wait a minute, it's just booting up. Oh, hang on, just have to close this program. Oh, hang on.
Waiting for boots and managing multitasking are both things that have been on console since the PS4 and Xbox One.
Stick around, friends. Keep drinking your beers and eating the pizza. I will bring up this cool game in a second.
The people who say these kinds of things never actually know what they're talking about. I've had groups of friends playing at my PC many times and have never had an issue. You just connect controllers, get everyone situated, and start playing. It's exactly what you would do on a console.
Oh, hold on. I can only have one wireless controller, so now I gotta find some really long USB cables so everyone can have okay.
Only one wireless controller? Oh, I'm sure we'll get some elaboration on that problem.
Well, and you can't have a controller. You'll have to use the mouse and keyboard. This game wasn't really meant for that, but it'll still work.
Never mind. Guess we won't get elaboration on that problem.
Yeah.
There's been a sort of a push for more couch co-op games on PC, but PC has never been the world of couch co-op.
That's true.
Because the consoles are doing so well in that category.
I don't know if all couch co-op experiences work this way, but Steam's where only one person needs to buy the game. And then the other person could just play it with you.
Remember when the Nintendo DS did this? I remember sitting backstage in shows in high school and we'd all play Mario Kart DS together because one person had a cartridge. During rehearsals and at intermission, we'd all play Mario Kart. And I graduated high school in 2015. We just all still had our DS Lites laying around, and someone happened to suggest bringing them all in. This is something that really should have become industry standard, but just it didn't for some reason. Like how backwards is it that fucking Nintendo comes up with one of the most pro-consumer things ever? Just
like it would be if it was a regular couch co-op experience, though online. And I think that's something like that is fantastic. And that is PC gaming finally learning some lessons from the consoles, is sometimes we want to play together.
What? PC finally learning lessons from consoles? Can you name a console other than the Nintendo fucking DS that let you do this? I know that there's ways to do this by cheesing accounts on the Xbox and PS4, but what other consoles have even had this as a core feature?
Not often, but sometimes.
Yeah. The PC is very much set up for the solo experience.
It's really not, but even if it was, there wouldn't be anything wrong with that.
That's
partly
true.
Because one's PC has become a very personal thing. Your personal array of icons on your desktop. Your personal porn stash folder that you don't want anyone else to see.
It's like 8 folders deep, and each of them is labeled taxes and then receipts. And then
letting other people have to hunt around your desktop is like someone having to hunt around in your underpants drawer these days.
Is there just an epidemic of messy desktops today? Because I've had 4 folders tops on my desktop for the longest time now. Nobody wants an unorganized desktop. I don't know, just this is a weird thing to harp on.
It's like going to a friend's house for the first time and not knowing where the bathroom is, and they say, "Oh, it's over there," and you're like, "But I need to know."
How often are you digging around other people's desktops, though? Like, really, why is this worth talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess
So
that's
yeah,
the
on the
nature
console-
of a personal computer.
Exactly. PC.
Yeah, it's almost like people want different things from their computer, and it's nice that they can do whatever they want with it. If you don't want a messy desktop, just don't do that.
And the console is the shared experience. That's why everyone can create their own ID. Has been a thing since the Xbox 360.
You realize PCs have had multiple accounts and desktop layouts for like 20 years, right? Probably more than that. For as long as I can remember, computers have had multiple accounts on them, and you can change the desktop layout on each one. Remember going to the computer lab in school and logging into your account? Or maybe you were like me and shared a home computer with your sister and mom, and you all had your own accounts, so you didn't have to play fucking Zoo Tycoon or Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 on mom's profile. Like, again, just a weird thing to harp on, especially because this, like, you're not even right about this.
That's sort of part of the habit of consoles to sort of distance themselves from the whole culture of gaming, though, because they've been doing that for a long time, ever since I'd say when the PS1 came out and it started marketing itself more as the cool thing for the cool bros at school to use, rather than just the kiddie toy for the nerds.
And the PS1 sold over 102 million units, so clearly it worked.
Well, I would say the defining moment was the PlayStation 2. Because and I know this because I was working retail at a video game store when the PlayStation 2 was around, and one of the big selling points was, oh, this plays games, but it's also a DVD player. And at the time, not many people had a DVD player.
It's almost like people really like devices that can do multiple things at once, so they can do it all in one place. Kind of like a certain device that you've been rather dismissive of throughout this entire episode. Which is interesting.
Because there's long been the stigma of just being a games machine.
Honestly, I really don't know where I stand on this one. Like, I know it kind of seems like I'm nitpicking here, and to be fair... I am, because I need to fill the space in between their really stupid comments. No video is 100% stupidity. But honestly, I don't know where I stand on this one. I don't think there's any stigma associated with being a games machine. And I don't think there has been for a couple decades now. But, that being said, if a console came out in 2021 and only played games, like it didn't do anything but play games, it would get quite a bit of shit. But that being said, I don't even know if that's a fair criticism, because no one product is obligated to copy other products if they don't think that's going to be what's best for them, supply and demand and whatnot. So, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too hard about this.
I think on PC, I get a sense that stigma is less embraced, I suppose.
The stigma that doesn't exist. Again, I don't think there's any stigma with being a games machine in the current year. It's not the 80s anymore. And since everybody knows what the deal is with PCs and how much they can do, yeah, obviously nobody is up in arms when you play a game on it as well.
You see consoles being announced, it's always about the extra things it can do.
Which is stupid. A console should be good at playing games first and then have additional features on top of that.
PC has always been less image conscious, shall we say.
Yeah, no, it's a PC. It's going to do PC things, and it's in a pretty case. No one company makes the PC, so why would it be image conscious? Of course, the device isn't going to be trying to present itself in any one way.
Yeah,
everyone
because
knows PC gamers are the big nerds.
Which is a weird stereotype, because PC gamers make up the majority of the gaming populace.
Well, but because PCs don't need to worry about an image because they have a built-in market, because everyone needs a PC.
Where else are you gonna go, bitch?
Yeah,
You're gonna come live under the bridge with us nerds if you wanna hang with the PC crew.
Are we really about to talk about captive marketplaces? Like, are we really about to gloss over the irony here? We're talking about how you can't go anywhere else in relation to the single most open gaming platform. Just kind of obnoxious.
The button I'm trying to think of how this relates to the current generation, which is the next generation, your Xbox Series X and your PlayStation 5.
Well, PlayStation's sort of out on its own limb at the moment, because the Xbox Series X is very deliberately working alongside PC gaming.
Well, that didn't age very well. Sony is rapidly growing their presence in the PC market, and they're not going to slow down. Nobody loses by working alongside the PC, because console gamers and PC gamers are two very different marketplaces. Obviously, there's a decent amount of overlap between them, but my point is Sony and Microsoft don't lose sales by working with the PC, they gain them. The people who had your console and a PC were already buying your game on the console. And then when the game gets ported to PC, people who didn't have your console before will buy it now. People always act befuddled as to why consoles are starting to break into the PC marketplace when it's really, really simple. I know that rant was only tangentially related to what they said on the thing, but we'll just move forward.
If you've got a gaming PC, you can run Xbox games through the Microsoft Store. You don't even need an Xbox.
That's right. That's right. If you have Game Pass, you can start playing a game on your PC, save it, and then go pick it up on your Xbox.
Which is fucking rad, by the way. Credit where credit is due, and that's a fucking rad feature. All multi-platform games should have that.
There was a time when Microsoft was deliberately trying to kill PC gaming. They were trying to doing their horrible games for Windows thing that was absolute dog shite because they wanted everyone to use the Xbox 360.
That store was awful.
And that was why Steam came about, because there was a hole in the market.
I mean, kind of, but Steam had also been around for years before games for Windows Live existed. Steam wasn't so much filling a hole in the market as much as they were just curb stomping the competition.
You can't just say, we're going to kill PC gaming so that people buy our console. That's too massive and abstract a goal.
Yeah, Microsoft isn't exactly the most trusted name in PC gaming. Like, they have some nice subscription services, but they really don't do much good here. I respect the effort, but it's getting kind of sad.
You can't just make something illegal and then remove all want for it, for example.
Insert drug legalization joke.
That's fair.
As long as there's demand, the supply will be found somewhere. Steam filled the hole.
Yes.
But Sony is still sort of doing this sort of one-horse race
And again, that didn't age super well. Lord knows what took them so long.
as the only console in the traditional sense.
That's
And,
true.
If there's exclusives on the Xbox Series X, you can just play it on your PC. But if there's exclusives on the PS5, you're boned, matey.
Nvidia has declared otherwise.
That's right. And Nintendo's off in its own little happy corner.
Yeah, the
You know.
console war is a thing of the past. It's just everyone in their happy little corners.
Wait, how is the console war a thing of the past when you say the consoles are doing their own thing? That doesn't even make sense. They're still competing with each other. The fact that they're so different this time around just makes the contest even more heated.
The borders have been drawn. Everyone has chosen a side. That's the button here. Is the console wars are over.
I sure hope not. I gotta keep making videos.
Seems like it.
It does.
Now
It
it's
does
just
seem like it.
it's just peaceful kingdoms living with strong borders. It's not like that. It's not like that old free for all back in Viking times.
Kinda wish it was. The main three console boys have gotten way too comfortable up there. We used to have a lot more than 3 consoles competing at once, you know. I'm not saying I want there to be even more consoles on the market, but I'm just saying a lack of competition can make the companies not work very hard to keep your business.
Ooh, that's right. That's right.
Now there's a nice firm kingdom of Mercia under a noble Saxon, and a nice separate kingdom of Norway under Harald Fairhair. I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla recently. Is it obvious?
My condolences to you, sir. And that's the edit of the whole podcast response that I did. Again, I apologize if anyone's disappointed by me not going over every single thing that they said, but, I mean, the link's in the description. You can go back and watch the whole thing if you want and make your own critique. Like I said at the beginning of this video, only about half of the podcast was worth talking about, and I didn't want to bore you guys with the in-between stuff. So, you know, the compromises have to be made sometimes. Anyways, I guess, follow me on Twitter, or donate, or listen to my music. Okay, toodles.